Oh, hey everybody, welcome back. Northernlion plays The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. How embarrassing. What is that elliptical number at the start of our streak here? It certainly can't be a 0. Q69WRFX8. It is what it is. It is what it is. What happened? It's a run where I really, have nobody to blame but myself for the fact that I chose to pick up, Tiny Planet. There was really no need for it. We'll just call that, a lesson. Like, you ever see those, pictures of, I don't know how true it is, but it's like the CIA gave all of these drugs to spiders, and these are the webs they made. And then there's, the one that it makes on, with stimulant is, all weird and claustrophobic and tightly packed, and then the one that it makes on, like a hallucinogen looks like, hold on, there's gotta be a good joke in here. It looks like the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Club Hearts Band album cover. There we go. Because the joke is multi-layered, because that album is really not that psychedelic at the end of the day. They were just wearing a lot of, colorful clothes. But there's a lot of dun 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 do 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 do. It's not exactly, Animal Collective, which isn't exactly, Sun-O. But anyway, what am I talking about? I don't know. It's a Sunday, and it's kind of like a miracle day. Both Kate and I got about maybe 8 to 9 hours of sleep last night, which by newborn standards is truly, I'll just say it, it's pogged. Now I will say, to get 9 hours of sleep takes about 11 and a half hours of being in bed. Because even when you get 8 hours or 9 hours of sleep, you still gotta, wake up for a couple hours here and there, feed the baby, change some diapers, etc., etc. Hushy! No, wait, that's not what Sinvicta says. What does Sinvicta call Hush? Ol' Hushy? Something like that? Trying to get up on the memes. I want to stay current. I'm hip, I'm with it. Tucka, 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 tucka. Hey, easy there. Don't do something you'll regret. I'm very happy to have some extra bombs here. That's for sure. And I'm very happy to, hopefully, this is now a pure streak. The streak before was, I talked a big game, but it was kind of, addled, if that makes sense. It was, part pre-baby, part post-baby. By the way, how scary would it be if post-baby didn't mean, after the baby arrived, but instead it was, a baby that posts. You know what I mean? On message boards and stuff? Man, I can't even imagine. You think you see some bad takes on the internet right now? Wait until you see what a baby thinks about the modern state of politics. Oh, wait, you can already see that because insert least favorite news network here exists. Okay, hold on. Hold on, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Let's explore this thread a little bit more. This is a very weird Larry Jr. fight. Very strange Larry Jr. fight indeed. It's a tough call, because we could buy a Spirit Heart, but alternatively, we could also preserve an arcade chance. I really do think it's close. I think it's a pretty close call. I'm hopeful we'll get something that might move the needle a little bit. To be honest with you, the needle could be moved pretty easily here. 7 cents? I bet if we blow those up... Hold on, because there's HP up there as well. Let's open this bad boy up. Oh my god. We want to get to 10 cents. Okay, that should do it. That should do it. I'm not going to buy any of the items available on the shop right now, just because it feels like... that screws it up, and we might end up getting, little baggy or something like that. So I think we'd be better off just doing this. And, it's not a good run. I want to be clear right off the jump here. It looks good because we had golden bombs. But really, without golden bombs, 8 bombs is kind of like golden bombs for the second floor. And, admittedly, our rate of fire is pretty swell. I'm not going to do that too much, but I'll use 1 penny to clear that room out right there. And maybe, another couple just to... If I get hit again, though, it'll be anti-pog. So we did just spend 5 cents on... you know what? I bet we spent 5 cents to preserve our spirit hearts, so I'm gonna... I'll treat it as, like, not a win, but as a necessary precaution. Anyway, long story short, the run is okay, but we definitely, like, we want to up that damage stat. The rate of fire is, like, better than you might even traditionally expect to find late in the game on an Eden run, depending on, you know, how your luck has been, but... Hey, come on. Hit me. I want you to hit me. It's not what I'm looking for. I was looking for, an arcade with a blood bank. I don't mind a judgment. Honestly, like, getting an HP upgrade can happen via blood bank or via judgment. The only thing is, you also get the money out of the blood bank. And that's somewhat important to me. But for now, let's just explore. We'll see where the rest of the floor strikes us. You ever see that video? It must be satire. I can't believe it's real, but there is a man... It looks like it's shot with an old VHS-type camera. And he's doing church singing. And he's going like... Looking for a city where we'll never die. You know that? And he keeps just modulating... the key and making it go one level higher. All our hopes renewed. Has there ever been like a behind the meme about that video? I gotta know, because like it's so... If it's satire, which I believe, it's so well constructed that I'm very impressed, because he talks about the fact that, like, oh, this is the song I used to come in second at, like, the county fair singing competition last year. So, like, if that's satire, like, the man's doing a fantastic job. He's one of the greatest comic minds of our time. If it's not satire, that's, like, even more impressive to me that he has such a low level of self-awareness. It's wild, man. You never know, like, sure, I'll take it. This should actually pay dividends for us here. Like, I remember, like, my mind was blown. During the 2008 election cycle, a viral video came out called It's Rainin' McCain. Which was like, you know, John McCain was running against Barack Obama for President of the United States. And this video came out that was, like, 3 ladies singing It's Raining Men. But they changed the lyrics to, like, you know, God bless John McCain, he's a Vietnam veteran too. He went off to Vietnam, and he did what he had to. And long story short is, you know, it's gonna start raining McCain. And then I was like, well, this video is hilarious for a number of different reasons. But also, later I was reading an interview with H. John Benjamin, noted van owner, and also, I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff. He's, I think he's Coach McGurk. I've never seen the show, but I've seen references to it. I believe he is Coach McGurk from Home Movies. You know, he talks like, hey Dave. You know, he talks like that. He's got a distinctive voice, is what I'm trying to say. See, and, oh, you know what? I think he's the voice of Archer. That's probably, like, by far what he's most famous for. And in the interview, he was like, yeah, I was fricking around with all this, like, internet ironic stuff, and we ended up producing this It's Raining McCain video that nobody realized was satire, and that made me laugh a great deal. And I was like, what? That's satire? I thought it was just 3 very politically active ladies who were big fans of John McCain. So you never know what's satire on the internet and what's not. And that's why I'm still... And you know what I'm going to say. If you watch a lot of stuff, you know what I'm going to say already. That's why I'm still convinced. And by convinced, I mean about 50.1% sure, like Lucien Bouchard, that video where the guy in Australia punches the kangaroo in the face, I just think there's a little CG. That's all I'm saying. And honestly, the more we argue about it, the more I become convinced that I'm right, because people use unfair argumentation tactics. Oh, you don't believe a kangaroo could really grab someone's dog? No, I didn't say that. All I'm saying is that when the kangaroo squares up, it looks a little suspicious. I'm 49.9% convinced that it's real. I'm just 50.1%, you know, asking the question right now. I used to be about 80-20. I'll admit, as time has gone on and nobody is taking credit for the Kangaroo CG, I find myself, you know, losing confidence. And really, it's not just, like, I'm not afraid of being wrong. It's just that, you know, I'm willing to accept, you know, if many years go by and nobody takes credit, then I believe that it is, I increasingly believe that it is real. You know, this isn't like a hill to die on. I'm just exercising what I see as a healthy level of suspicion about it. The irony, of course, is that everybody thinks that I'm insane for this. But of the people that think I'm insane, about 1% of them also think that vaccines carry microchips. So it's the opposite of a steel man for sure. I'm using the straw man argumentation technique. It's worked very well for me in the past. I'm just saying, sometimes we all believe in some irrational things that have no evidence, but to our eyes look a little bit suspicious. At least I'm able to accept that, you know, let me put it this way. If Captain Disillusion looks at the Kangaroo video and says, without a doubt, this is real footage, my level of convince will go up to like 95. I'll be 95% convinced it's real. And 5% I'll maintain some skepticism, but certainly not enough to call it into question on the regular. That's within the realm of scientific confidence. And I don't trust sometimes what I see on video, and I don't trust what other people think they see on video. It's not like a deepfake kind of like suspicion or anything like that. It's more like, you know, you ever play, like, if you played video games back in, you know, let's say like the dawn of the 3D era, you know, like around the PlayStation 1 especially, here's the situation that would happen constantly. You know, you would be at like your friend's house, you'd be playing like, you know, NBA, you know, 1998 or something like that, NBA Live 1998, and then you would see like, you know, a player model of Shaquille O'Neal that was made up of like 9 polygons, and your friend's dad would walk in and go, "Whoa! Is that a photograph of Shaquille O'Neal? It looks so realistic. This is like, dude, where are games even gonna go from here now that they've, you know, made exact spitting images of players' real-world likenesses?" You know, back in the day, you look at it now and it looks like somebody like put a sock, like a stocking over their head, like they were gonna rob a bank, and then like a printed out picture of Shaq. But in 1998, all I can say, obviously the photo has not changed, but our perceptions have changed. It looked photorealistic just because our concept of computer graphics was like, you know, we were in a period of naivete, right? I'm just saying, maybe the Kangaroo video looks realer now than it will in, you know, 5 to 10 years. But anyway, this is my own personal conspiracy theory. It's probably the closest thing to a conspiracy theory I actually harbor in my life. And it makes people angrier than some of the conspiracy theories that I consider actually harmful, which is very strange to me, but also kind of like a good microcosm, I guess, of what it's just like to be on the internet in general. Regardless, though, this run we're still very weak from a damage standpoint. I'm actually very, very pleased to have 99 bombs. And we will, I mean, Compass and Blue Map is a really, really nice way to get some momentum going for us here. We'll probably get our deal with the devil on the next floor. And I'll be happy to have it. But I think we're pretty much kind of locked in here to begin with. This run looks really good. Satanic Bible, it doesn't make a run unlosable, but it definitely does make it very tough to lose. But anyway, yeah, it's, you know, what was I talking about? I don't know how I got there. Just talking about the Kangaroo video for the 500th time. It's, you know, new days in Newborn City. We got the, you know, the calm days, and then we got the crazy days. Yesterday was kind of a crazy day, but like a calm night, which I'll take. And I mean, it wasn't a crazy day. Like, it's not like you're like, whoa, you wouldn't believe it, dude. She had the lampshade on her head. She was losing it. I mean, she mostly just was kind of like, wah, wah, and then you feed her, and she's like, wah, and you change her diaper, and she's like, wah, and you're like, I've tried both things, and I'm all out of ideas, man. But at night, she was calm blue ocean. It really is, it's a little freaky. I was telling, my mom was over yesterday, I was telling her how quickly I've adjusted to having a newborn. Because, like, really the first couple of days, it's, the responsibility hits you like a truck, right? So, you've never, I mean, if you've never had a newborn before, which obviously we hadn't, you know, you are immediately struck by this, like, I am taking care of a living thing that is essentially completely helpless. Like, how helpless is a newborn? If they sleep on their stomach, they could end up with an obstructed airway and, you know, suffer serious health consequences. They cannot roll themselves over. That's what we're talking about in terms of helplessness. Like, you know, it'll make you mad, because you ever see like a video of like a horse being born? It kind of shudders out of that cavernous maw, and then it goes like, and like its legs are a little shaky, and then in like 30 seconds it's galloping, like it could win the Preakness, right? It's just a different set of like evolutionary concerns, right? Like human beings, you know, we've evolved you know, use our intelligence as kind of like our dominant survival factor. Like, it's what separates us and allows us to proliferate to a large extent. Like, I know people, you know, I don't want to make it like weird, but you know, I think being physically strong, hold on, we do want this. We don't want this. Being physically strong, I know that, like, this is almost, it seems like an anti-intellectual take, but I think it's worth being prideful about. You know, if you worked hard to get there, if you had the discipline to work out and get physically strong, I think you should be proud of it. But at the same time, whenever people are like, physical strength is all that matters, I'm like, oh, really? Why don't you go, like, to a zoo then, and try to fight a lion, or a grizzly bear, or a crocodile even, or something. Like, you're gonna get destroyed, like it or not. And I think there's a good reason a lot of people don't like it, that I probably don't need to fill in the blanks for you on. We're where we are, you know, in the world as a result of our intelligence. So, you know, you got a big brain. Unfortunately, to have a big brain, you know, be born would pretty much just rip people up from the inside out. So as a result, you know, you got the evolutionary pressure to have that baby a little earlier, and then take care of it when it comes out. This is two good items. Hold on. Not getting anything there is a little kick in the teeth, but so what the heck was I talking about? I can't remember. But wait a minute. Oh, so like when a newborn comes out, a human newborn, at least, in case you were curious if we were talking about some other animal, it's helpless, right? And I think it triggers something in the brain, for sure. And sometimes when I say that, I'm like, I'm not actually confident it's the case. It's just my hunch. This time, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's like a rush of like activity to your amygdala that forever opens up like pathways of anxiety you've never experienced before. But like the first couple of days in the hospital, you lose your mind. You're like, how is it? Like, don't get me wrong. My wife had surgery. I'm glad that she's hooked up to, like, you know, medical implements that are monitoring her. But how in the hospital are they not monitoring the infant at all times just to make sure that it doesn't spontaneously explode? And then, you know, you evolve past that a little bit, or not to muddy the waters of our terminology, you know, you progress past that. And then you're like, okay, well, one of us should be awake at all times to keep eyes on the baby to make sure they don't explode. And then the other person can actually get some sleep. There's no reason for both of us to constantly be watching the child, because that's a little bit of overkill. And now, so like I told you, we have this this smart sock thing that monitors. It's like a pulse oximeter. It measures heart rate and supposedly oxygen levels, which I do put some stock into, even if it's just for peace of mind. The other night, so she's about 3 weeks old now. The other night, I woke up at, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 in the morning to feed her. I fed her, I burped her, I changed her diaper, I put her down in the crib. she started making a little bit of a weird noise that would have struck fear into my heart, you know, within 48 hours of the birth. I, for real, just looked at her and saw that she was moving and then rolled over to face the wall and go to sleep. I was like, she's probably completely fine, and if something goes wrong, there will be an ear-piercing alarm that will, we're not going to get to boss rush anyway. Let's save our HP. There will be an ear-piercing alarm that will go off and wake us up anyway, so... I'm not quite at the level of, like, rub some dirt on it and it'll clear right up, but I'm definitely, like... It's healthier, by the way, I think, this way. I know it might seem like, you know, you're being flippant with your child's safety. I mean, I can only speak from my experience as a parent, but, like... You know what's been really comforting is Google autocomplete actually, like, completing the query that you were going to suggest. It's just like, oh, so we're not alone. Like the other day, you know, she was breathing a little raggedly, which for an adult, you would be like, uh-oh, that's a real problem. For a child, I was like, baby breathing like, and then the first thing that filled in was a pug, and I was like, all right, I think we're fine. If enough people are Googling this, that this is showing up in, I actually don't think we want that, believe it or not. We're actually kind of fishing for a speed upgrade. If enough people are Googling it that it shows up as like a suggested autocomplete, then I think... I mean, I still check the results to be like, oh no. It's pug baby syndrome. But no, it's literally like... Almost every article... There's like 2 articles about babies. You know, well, you know what? Let's make this even better. There's a better joke in here that's also true to life. You know how, like, everything you Google when you have a symptom as an adult, you know, it takes you to WebMD and then tells you that you've got stage 4 pancreatic cancer? That's, like, the exact opposite of what Googling baby symptoms is. Obviously, like, you know, there's still, like, if things persist, go to a doctor. But for the most part, you could be like, my baby has laser beams shooting out of her eyes, and they'd be like, as long as the laser beams are not hot enough to melt through your concrete walls, or alternatively, she's got some bloodshot in her pupils, just let it, see where it goes, you know? A lot of the baby medical advice online is essentially, you know, just chill out. You're gonna be fine, which is very helpful, I will admit, just to have some reassurance in that department. Now, the opposite is also true. You know, as an adult online, if you're like, I'm 35 years old and I eat 2 family-sized bags of, you know, Lay's barbecue chips, watched 3 seasons of Brooklyn Nine-Nine tonight, is that okay? People are like, get it, sister, self-care. If you Google anything about baby psychology, they're like, you're gonna frick that baby up, dude. You're like, oh, my baby winked at me. You've got a mischievous baby. What is it because you've been swaddling backwards? You can't backward swaddle a baby. They're gonna end up being mischievous. It's like a complete inversion of the adult Google results. Okay, we're gonna move on. This run is completely sorted. Very happy to see it. The world, by the way. But yeah, so that's pretty much where we're at. I mean, what do you want me to say? There's a lot of... I'm becoming like a really good diaper changer. That's what I'm gonna say. We had, you know, a lot of those diaper blowouts I've discussed. I do have to admit that I think with the benefit of hindsight, it was less that there was like an explosive diarrhea. I'm eating. And more that, you know, my diaper was affixed in a fashion that, I mean, to be honest, you know, having never... affixed diapers before prior to like 3 weeks ago, I think it's understandable that I was a little bit of a novice at it, but I've reached, in my opinion, journeyman status. None of these diapers are leaking. But I have Googled, you know, because Dr. Google is there for you at all times. I have Googled many times, is it possible to make a diaper too tight? Can you break your baby's hips or screw up their development by having the diaper on too tight? A lot of baby advice will irritate you, though. Like what I saw on the Huggies website is a diaper is too loose if you can fit your whole hand in it. And I was like, yeah, no kidding. I don't know if you need a lesson in relative widths, but the width of a molecule of fecal matter and the width of a 31-year-old male's hand, there's a marked difference there, but surely there's got to be a middle ground. But they were like, it's too tight if you can't even fit one finger between, you know, the infant and the diaper. I was like, okay, don't get me wrong, maybe that's a good rule of thumb, but like, some people out there, not gonna name names, you've got markedly tiny hands. Some people out there have larger hands, like that one woman that Jerry Seinfeld dated on the show Seinfeld. She had some mannish hands, if I remember correctly. Mannish, the hands of fate. Is it possible that the width of somebody's finger could also be the same or equivalent to the width of somebody else's entire hand? I don't know, man. Like, I'm also like, now even I'm freaking out because I'm like, wait a minute, isn't like the width of a finger is like the same as the width of a hand? Anyway, long story short, I just tightened that son of a gun up. And we haven't run into an issue since, which is fantastic. Very, very happy to report that. But that's pretty much, I mean, you know, that, like, this is the fastest time, I believe, that, like, you know, in human development. So we see changes constantly. Like, we see changes day to day. But they're not the kind of changes that you get, like, super excited about, I think, if you're not, you know, the parents, or the family, at least. You know, like, we're like, oh, she's really opening her eyes a lot. Oh, she's tracking. Oh, that might be, like, a genuine smile. It's not like, oh, one day she's gonna wake up and be like, hey, everybody! Probably. Hopefully. Although, I don't know, it'd be nice to, like, honestly, I was gonna say outsource, but I guess it's really, like, insourcing. It'd be nice to outsource some of that stuff. You know what's crazy, dude? Daycare. And I know, like, this is becoming a bit that, you know, if you look at my demo, like, we got a lot of parents in my demographic, I'll admit. You know, a lot of people, you know, SEO brought you to the Northernlion channel back in, you know, 2013. Maybe you were, like, 16, 17 years old, and now you're, you know, 24 and you got a kid, you know? We're kind of kindred spirits in that regard, for sure. I probably should have black ruined the Steam sale there, but that's not why you're here. Let's be honest. We out this. But I understand as well, if you're not like a parent, this is the kind of, you're like, hey, stop talking about this, start talking about boob armor. I understand. But daycare is crazy, dude. I honestly, like, there needs to be a McDonald's of daycare, in my opinion. By which I don't mean that there should be, like, a daycare that's, like, bad. Because many times I've noted my preference for the fast food chain known as McDonald's. McDonald's Canada, if you are listening, I would love to be a part of your future promotions. I will say, I hope that you could bring back the salads through the drive-thru soon. I understand that COVID has affected not only, you know, supply chains, but also how much you want to be handling the food. But I know, like, not all the salads are great for you there, but sometimes it just feels better to be eating the salad than it does to be eating, you know, 10 pieces of fried chicken matter. But anyway, like, that's just while I have your ear. That's just my personal preference there. But regardless, so why do I say this? Why do I say that there's some sort of standardization that needs to happen? Well, like, I get ticked off, alright? Because here's the way it works. First off, literally, like, people in Vancouver, and I'm sure this is true with, like, many, many places, maybe even, like, every place around the world, but every city at least, but people were applying for daycare when they planned on conceiving their child. So literally, like, minimum 9 months before they would even have the child, they would start, minimum 9 months, because, you know, we don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but, you know, not everybody's conceiving in that first month. Regardless, You know, you're talking 9 months minimum lead time to the child existing, and then nobody is sending, like, their brand new, you know, like, 1-month-old child to daycare. And by nobody, I mean, I think nobody. You know, usually you're kind of talking about, like, I don't know, like 9 months minimum, but probably more like, you know, a year and a half until you send your child to daycare. A year and a half, maybe. So they changed it so that you, like, need to actually have the child's birth certificate to apply. So, like, right after the birth, like within 24 hours, we applied for the birth certificate. We got it in the mail. We started applying for daycare. I want to be clear, our child is, as of today, 20 days old, and we sent in our applications a couple days ago. On the application, we said, you know, when are we looking for daycare? Ideally, the start point would be around March of 2022, which sounds like is so far in the future right now that is like, I can't even conceive of what the world will look like then. How small are cell phones going to be by then? It's going to be crazy. No joke. We got, like, messages, automated messages from the daycare facilities that are like, it looks like you're applying for, like, daycare for a child between the ages of 1.5 and 3 years. We would like to caution you that in all likelihood, no spaces will open up within the next, you know, literally, like, within the next 2.5 years. So, like, don't get your hopes up, basically. And I was like, how can this... Like, how can there be stories on the news about how, like, the birth rate in the country is so low that, like, we're not even at the replacement level for the population? And then, like, simultaneously, daycares are like, it's, you know, sweeps week. Sorry, we just can't. It's like, you know, Magic the Gathering cards out there. Like, I don't have any more polluted deltas. I'm sorry. Demand is through the roof. It's crazy to me. And then we were looking into it. We're like, how is it not possible that, like, any of these daycares are confident that they will have, like, don't you have, like, a 2-year-old in your daycare right now that's gonna be out of the daycare? You know, they're gonna age out. How is it possible? Oh yeah, but we got people that got on the waiting list in 2016. It's just, it's insanity to me. And we were looking into it. We're like, how is this possible? We're like, okay, here's how it works, all right? So there's, like, a ranked queuing system. It's not first come, first serve, because that would be too fair. So the way that it works is first priority goes to children whose siblings are already in the daycare. As much as I want to be annoyed by that, it actually makes a lot of sense. You know, you got... even though, you know, this is our... we shouldn't have been standing there. Even though this is our first child, and, you know, I want to, you know, fight for them to be in the daycare. Come on, man, we got 0.66 speed. You know, if you've already got little Tommy going to the daycare from 8:30 to 4:30, and you're going to be driving to pick him up at 4:30 anyway, when Jenny's born, I think she should get priority access to the daycare. It just makes sense to me. Second is for employees, children of employees of the daycare, which I'll admit is also hard to argue against. Because you're like, you know, it would suck pretty bad to be like, I work at the daycare and yet my kid can't even get in. Although I will say what is humorous to me is the idea that they're not first in the queue, they're second in the queue. So even if you, like, worked at the daycare, if it was between your kid and the child of somebody who already had a child in the system, you would lose. So I doubt that situation comes up all that much, but still. Can you imagine being like, well, sorry, honey, I've got to drop you off at daycare before I drive to work at daycare, regardless. Third, it varies. Some places, honestly, are like third is given priority to city or, like, municipal employees. 1 second, we got a little knock at the door. And we're back. So yeah, some places are like, you know, if you're employed by the provincial government or if you're employed by the municipal government, then you get a little priority. And then they're like bottom of the barrel, Gen Pop. Are you stupid enough to be having your first kid and applying to daycare like a moron? All right, back of the line. You're like, you know that scene in Starship Troopers where they're like, you know, hey, what did you get? And then Neil Patrick Harris is like, you know, military intelligence. And the guy's like, I'll be saluting you next time we meet. Then Johnny Rico's like, infantry. And then the guy goes like, you know, bless you. You know, mobile infantry made me the man I am today. And then you see that he's got 2 robot hands. That's like trying to get your kid into daycare in Vancouver. They might as well put a sign on the door that says, like, we're full. So to me, and maybe this is like a harmful mindset to begin with, you know, we're getting into heavy, like, how could capitalism do this to me territory, but, like, somebody out there should just set up, like, the Subway of daycares. You can hire good people. I don't mean it has to be bad. You know, you could hire some of the best daycare providers, but just, like, you know, open up 10,000 locations in North America. Not just for me, but I mean, because clearly if I'm complaining about it, well, I was going to say if I'm complaining about it, other people will complain about it, but I am oftentimes at the vanguard of complaints, I will admit. Tip of the spear of mundane problems. But regardless, it just seems like there's like an unexploited niche here, which is a terrible way to describe it, but like, you know, honestly, when I've been applying to like, hey, it's Betty's Daycare. We have one space open for Mondays only for children who would like to learn Spanish. I'm like, you know what? If they had a McDonald's that was like, yeah, you know, we hire good people, and, you know, we're ready. You know, just drop your kid off and we'll get this personalized, you know, like learning plan off the ground right away. I'd be all over it. Like, I'll be honest, when we take our car in for an oil change, I don't take it into, you know, Bill's auto shop. I take it into a multinational chain that has good reviews on Google. So I don't want to have to learn about, you know, is Bill gonna try to, you know, rip me off here? I would rather just be like, hey, Google has you at a 4.8, and I'm pretty sure you know, you're getting paid a flat hourly rate, so you're not gonna try to, you know, bend me over backwards just because I don't know whether an oil change is supposed to cost 20 bucks or 120 bucks. Because I have no real world experience or skills, okay? I'm just saying, and you might be saying, like, oh, this is probably just for those primo daycares. This is for every daycare. And also, it's like $100 a day, dude. It's crazy. And it's not even for like a year and a half we're even looking at it. Anyway, long story short. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time. The streak begins anew. See ya.